The Universe Against Her by James H. Schmitz. So this video is the next installment in a series I'm doing with my wife called The Wife's Wildcard Pick, where she goes through my library with her highly scientific method and randomly picks out a book. This time she picked out The Universe Against Her by James H. Schmitz, and I was really glad she picked this one out. I had yet to read anything from Schmitz, and Richard and Matt, who I've collaborated a lot with, have both read a lot from Schmitz and really enjoyed his writing. Now, this book came out in 1964, and I have this ace paperback of this one. And it's actually two stories in one, kind of independent stories. The main thing in common with the stories is the main character named Telzy Abernon. And the first story was about 50 pages probably, the second story around 100 pages. So combined, this little book is about 160 pages, and you get two kind of shorter stories thrown in there. Now, overall, I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I definitely liked his writing and the kind of adventure aspect of this main character with her amazing powers and whatnot. But I think I also kind of overthought some of it, and that might have gotten in my way a little bit of my total enjoyment of this one. But let's just kind of go in and talk about what both of these little stories were about. So the first story that was in this one, we're introduced to our main character, Telzy Abernon, and her pet tiger, alien tiger named TikTok. And they are traveling away from their home world, and she's going to go visit her aunt on this other world. And the world's really neat. There's only one human settlement on it, and the rest of it is kind of like a alien creature sanctuary. But it's not just a sanctuary. There's been humans who've been going out and hunting these tigers because this pet of hers, TikTok, this is where this creature originated on this planet. And what's interesting is there's been kind of a 1-for-1 kill rate between the humans and the tigers. Now, the humans, they keep sending people to the planet. They're never going to run out of humans, probably. But the tigers have kind of gone extinct, is what they think. And we find out her aunt probably lured her to the planet. And there's some people that want to take her pet, TikTok, and kind of preserve him in a way. They're not exactly sure what's going to happen with him, if it's to bring the species back or what, but she really doesn't want to get rid of her pet. Now, at the same time that all this is happening, she's on this planet and she's kind of hearing some voices. She's almost like going through these kind of waking dream sequences, and the reader's not sure what's going on. She's not sure what's going on. And pretty quickly, both you and Telzy realize that she has some telepathic powers or psionic powers. And she doesn't know where they're coming from. She doesn't see the people who are trying to communicate with her, but she's getting some information, and it seems to have to do with her trying to protect what could be the last creature in this alien species. This one was done really well. I liked the kind of, psionic hallucinations she's having almost. So she's kind of like coming into this ability for the first time. I think Schmitz wrote that pretty well. Telzy is a very strong young female character. She comes from an affluent family. She's 15, but she's already in college to be a lawyer. She's kind of got the whole world in front of her, and she doesn't really want to let this get in her way. So the first story is done well. She ends up kind of resolving this whole conflict. There's some things that she bumps up against, and she has to think her way out of it. And I won't spoil it, but there's definitely a twist in this one that I thought was done really well that has to do with some of these alien creatures. And I should also mention these alien tigers, they're really neat too. they can camouflage themselves almost like a chameleon. They can take on the appearance of their surroundings. So you could imagine going out trying to hunt one of these. It could be definitely a challenge. So then the second story in this one, we have Telzi leaving her tiger back home and going off to another planet, her home planet. And she kind of lands back home. You kind of get a hint that there's something going on this planet with the political people and the rulers of this planet with some psionic machines. And they don't really want the public to know how powerful these things are. And you kind of come to find out that there's some abilities that some people and some things have that most of the population isn't really aware of. Now, at this point, we already know Telzi is telepathic, so she has her own abilities. And she meets up with an old college friend. I think her name was Gonwill. And this girl she stands to inherit a fortune. Her parents had died. And when she turns 19, she's going to be rich, basically. And we find out there's some people that are trying to get some of this money in one way or another. There are some people who have a son who they're trying to get to marry her. And when Gonwill she's not really into this boy, these people kind of take it up to the next level. And there seems to be a plot to almost like take her friend Gonwill out. So Telzi gets involved in this whole thing. And Gonwill has this pet dog. And Telzi ends up kind of using some of her telepathic powers through the dog in a pretty interesting way to kind of unravel who's behind this. Now, we find out more about some of these other technologies that are going around. There appears to be some mind blocks where people can't really have their minds probed. And so Telzi has to think her way out of another jam and figure out how to save her friend. This one wasn't nearly as entertaining to me. There was definitely parts where I just really wasn't that interested in the story. And then you do get a resolution, but it kind of ends in a whimper in a way. You're getting towards the end of the book. There's not many pages left, and you're wondering if something big's going to happen. And it just kind of ends. And it was good, but I definitely like the first story out of here better. Now, I could definitely see why this would appeal to young adults. We have a really strong female character here who, thinks her way out of some jams, but she also gets a lot of help in other ways, and she has these like superpowers too. And even the title of this one, The Universe Against Her, kind of seems like a bit of an exaggeration. There was a couple people that were against her, but I wouldn't say the whole universe was against her. There's just as many people trying to help her out, probably. But once again, I think I was overthinking this one, because if you go into this one thinking of a fun adventure with this character who has all these abilities, it could be a lot of fun, especially for younger people, probably. Now, where I definitely overthought this one a little bit too much was there is, we can understand Telzi's in college and maybe she hasn't had any ethics classes yet, but there's definitely some unethical things that she does in this one. In the first story, her aunt is kind of plotting against her and kind of giving her up in a way. And Telzi definitely does some unethical things with her telepathic powers to her aunt. And then in the second story, when she finds out that these people are using these mind blocks, she has to kind of pivot. And she definitely kind of, plants some evidence, some artificial evidence to kind of get them framed, which could also be kind of considered unethical. But once again, I think I was thinking a little too deeply in a book like this. Just go into this one for the fun story and the adventure and the fun character, and you'll have a blast, I think. I definitely want to read more from Schmitz. I don't think I'm going to jump right back into some Telzi stories right away, but I have a couple others that I'm interested in. The Demon Breed, and then The Witches of Karis. So one of those will probably be the next Schmidt novels that I read. And that's going to do it for that one. And next up, the one my wife picked for the next wildcard pick is The Mind Traders by J. Hunter Hawley. really excited for this one. I have yet to read anything from J. Hunter Hawley, so sometime in the near future I'll be reading that one, and just look for that video coming out whenever I finish it. And once again, thanks for watching.